Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Balls Mahone.
Thanks. Gary Rhodes, everybody. Take time off and I'm Balls Mahone now.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, God.
Could have been worse. Could have been Lenny, Lodi.
Axel Rotten.
Hey, don't talk bad about Axel. He's actually a fan of ours.
I know, right? I was just saying his name.
There you go. Anyway, this is our TNA show for the week. Let's go right into it. We had the meeting of the main event Mafia. Sting and Kurt Angle come to the ring, talking about they're going to have a new member by the end of the night.
I'm excited for this. I'm sorry, I'm not really into the main event Mafia.
How
anymore.
annoying is that theme music?
Dude, it is annoying. It's about as annoying as the old Horseman music.
But that wasn't that bad, though.
I never really got into that one.
The violins is what killed it on the main event Mafia.
Yes. Yeah. This gimmick was dead years ago.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. And I just think it's stupid to bring them in against the main event or against the Aces and Eights because it's basically the same guys that were facing the Aces and Eights. You're not bringing no fresh blood into the company. You got Sting, Angle, and later on we'll see who else they're going to add on here later on in the show. But let me get spoiler alert: it's known fresh.
There you go.
You know, I mean that's what gets you is you're introducing this or reintroducing this product. You want to make something fresh or something. It's not like you're bringing DX back. You're bringing the main event Mafia back. You know.
Hey, after that we have a three-way match for the X Division title: Suicide versus Kenny King versus Chris Sabin.
Excellent.
Suicide gets the win, but controversy arises when GM Hulk Hogan comes out with TJ Perkins in tow saying that this is TJ, he's been playing Suicide, brother. That's not the real Suicide, brother. We need to know who you are by the end of the night, brother.
The whole Suicide thing, it was good. They're just saying as the main event Mafia a couple years back. You just reintroduced this character, now you're already taking the mask off of him and, explaining who he is. I think what they could have done is, remember when they had the fake Sin Cara?
Yeah.
Just have them both go at it for a little bit. Yeah, I think that would have been fine.
To take, not to go too far off a track with this, but does it bother you when they do stuff like that? Like Suicide's been like 3 or 4 different guys. It's been Kiyoshi, Kaz, Daniels, and now TJ Perkins. And kind of like, it reminded me the other day when Matt Bourne passed away, when they switched Doink from him to Ray Apollo to Steve Lombardi to Steve Kern. Does it bother you? It bothers me when they have a character that's played by one guy and they switch it. They can, because I don't care how, like Kaz and Daniels are a good example. They're great friends and they have a very similar style, but it's different.
You're right there. Now with the Doink, Matt Bourne was the best Doink. I mean,
right.
I was always happy with his product. Now the other guys, they were from the same era and they all had about the same wrestling style. I mean, God, how many different Doinks were there?
Oh, there's a bunch, and then that's not even including the guys that do it on the indies that had nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
But to like this, it bothers me.
Oh yeah, you're taking away from a character.
That they keep using different guys for Suicide. They even used Loki was his voice.
Did you hear Loki? Speaking of Loki, here he retired.
Yeah. I hear so, but I heard he retired with the caveat that if he got the right deal, he might come back.
I like his wrestling style.
I think Loki likes himself a little bit too.
Well, that's what I was getting to. He's kind of like not like a Bret Hart in a way where.
Well, Bret Hart actually.
Bret Hart is a Bret Hart though. You're talking about Bret Hart. I'm not a giant Bret Hart fan,
but he's still
Bret Hart.
Wrestlers of all
exactly.
time.
But he's still not as good as he thinks he is.
Loki thinks he's CM Punk, and he's not.
No.
He's great. Don't get me wrong. He's very good.
He's a great mid-card wrestler.
Yeah. But he thinks he's the whole fucking show. That's wrong. Anyway, back to the show. We got our gut check. Ryan Skid Marks Howe coming out in his Best Van Hammer impersonation versus the Big O from best known from Z True Hollywood Story with Zack Ryder. Funny thing is that Big O has more wins on TV this year than Zack Ryder does.
Ooh.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
I thought it was an abortion of a match. It was terrible. Big O, I think he's only been wrestling a year or two, maybe at the most. and he's not good. I think Ryan Howe, even when he was on Tough Enough, he wasn't wrestling for that long before that. And that's only 2-3 years ago now.
You mentioned Zack Ryder. How good do you think Zack Ryder would fare in TNA right now? With the competition he's got, and if he had decent writing and had a decent spot?
I think he'd be good. I mean, the thing they would probably do, though, is stick him with Robbie E and Jesse.
Leader of their faction, make a faction of the Jersey Boys or something. There you go.
Something like that. But this was a terrible match, and we're going to talk about gut checking a little bit in a minute, a little bit more. But I thought it was terrible. I think they're kind of running thin on the talent they're bringing in. Out of these two, I mean, remember a couple weeks back they did Adam Pearce and what was it, Magnus?
Yeah.
I forget who he wrestled. But anyway, I would have rather seen Adam Pearce versus one of these guys and Adam Pearce get the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But next we have Velvet Sky versus Mickie James. Velvet gets a rematch. Mickie works over the knee, picks up the win. I know Gary's very upset with that.
I don't know, man. I've never been a real Mickie James fan. To me, like, towards certain parts of her career, she was like, when she was in WWE, she was basically their female Cena, always coming from behind and winning until LA Cool got together. Then they were pretty much the big it team.
You know what I found was funny? Not to cut you off, but who was it that was said? Laura Lyons, one of our good friends on Facebook and Twitter, she put on her Twitter during this match that it looked like I forget exactly what she said. It was something to the effect of Ellie Mae versus an anime girl. And then there was a whole thing we got back and forth about the Berserker boots that Velvet wears.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a funny little quote. And to me, Velvet's the eye candy of this division. She's not the greatest wrestler in the division.
She's not bad, though.
She's not terrible. She's not as bad as some of the girls on WWE.
No, I mean, she was probably one of the top female wrestlers on WWE.
Right. But this match, I mean, I
don't know.
It was all angle to me. And that's
not Kurt.
No.
That's all I gotta say.
Suck it.
Suck it's Gusta, though.
Anyway. Back to the matches. We got our next match is a Bound for Glory series match. We have Magnus versus Bobby Roode. And I think this was the match of the night. What do you think?
Oh, I think so, too. Now, I got a question for you with Magnus. Magnus might be going through... I think he's probably one of the favorites to win this Bound for Glory series. Well, no, but I'm just saying one of the favorites.
Right.
Not the one I pick and everything. But anyways, do you think that they're hot-shotting him too fast to a main event level?
No, he's been there for, 3 years now?
Well, I mean, you got a guy like... you take a look back at, like, Sheamus in WWE. He was there for a little bit, then they just, boom, you're in a main event area.
Yeah, but he was only there for, 6 months when they did that. This would be the equivalent of Daniel Bryan. Okay. Daniel Bryan's been there about the same now.
Because there's been a comparison between that and then the Ryback push, and I was just wondering if you think this goes along with that kind of...
No, because Magnus is proven his worth. I mean, he's constantly giving good matches, fitting in with the guys at the top of the card. He's got a great look and he's got great talent.
Well, he just beat one of the longest reigning TNA champion during the show, and I'm just saying I want to know if that was your opinion. I think the guy's great.
Yeah, I do think.
I mean, he's the future of the company, I think.
I agree, and so does Dixie Carter. And that's the main person you got to convince.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking about, we're going to go right into our question week, speaking of things like that. Our question from last week was, who do you think is going to be, or who do you want to be the Bound for Glory series winner? And before we get into our picks, I'm going to give you some of what our friends wrote. First is from Wethington 25. I would love for Bobby Roode to win it all. I mean, when he was champ, I never missed TNA. Plus, he just has the look of a heavyweight champion. Next is from our friend Metal Ruler 45. It has to be AJ Styles if Bully is a champion. It has to be a face, and Hardy has faced Bully a lot. Samoa Joe, I just don't see it. Magnus is not ready yet, so it has to be AJ. Some good choices. What do you think? Who do you think should win it?
Well, I did like to say the same that Wethington said about Bobby Roode looking like a world champion.
Yeah.
Apparently, whatchamacallit didn't think so when WWE was looking at him.
Laurinaitis,
yeah. I like him. I like Bobby Roode. I'm not so sure about Magnus yet. I mean, he's a good guy. He's doing really good in the ring, but putting the company on his shoulders, I don't know. I don't know if he could do that. But the thing is, the winner of this Bound for Glory series might only hold the title for 2 pay-per-views, like Aries did. I would like to see Roode do it. I think Roode is the one who's been he carried the company for almost a year.
Well, more than a year. Yeah, it was about a year, 11 months or so.
As their champion, and it was compelling television to watch him be their champion. It kind of reminded me of the Triple H Evolution days. So yeah, that'd be the one I'd like to see.
I'm a sucker for Samoa Joe, so I'm going with Joe. I just like to see him rise to prominence, and I think it would tie in well with the angle that's not so great with the main event Mafia going up against the Aces and Eights. I think it would tie in very well. Another dark horse candidate of mine, Magnus is the obvious guy that they seem to be putting a push behind, so I didn't want to take the obvious. Mm-hmm. The dark horse for me would be Mr. Anderson. I think it would put a little, kind of like you mentioned, evolution. Remember when Randy Orton won the chance to fight Triple H?
Or won the Chris Benoit.
He's not in memory. We don't. I'm sorry. You mean Stevie Richards, right?
Yeah, Stevie Richards. He fought Stevie Richards at SummerSlam.
Exactly.
I thought he found the belt under the ring at SummerSlam, but apparently with Stevie Richards he had a match with.
That's right. And I think it would be cool if TNA had the foresight to book Mr. Anderson to win this. Then you start to see the dissension in the ranks of Aces and Eights, and then you start get the real breakup of the group.
See, I think they're doing the James Storm for Magnus is in James Storm's spot.
Yeah.
Last year, everybody thinks Storm was going to win it, and then, he didn't. Yeah. So that's why I just went with that.
I like your choice. I don't mind. I think there's some really good talent in there, and the good thing about it is there's so many good wrestlers in the Bound for Glory series that it makes a compelling television. And you weren't here last week, but I gushed about it because the whole show was Bound for Glory matches, and it was great. I mean, it gives, like I said, it makes great television.
Well, when there's something to wrestle for and there's a storyline,
yeah,
it makes good television, and that's one thing that TNA is slowly starting to get better at, is making a storyline. The Aces and Eights storyline, even the Main Event Mafia storyline. But if you remember back when the original Main Event Mafia was there, the storylines were shit.
Yeah.
It's just, there was them, and it was like almost like NWO, or WCW. So as long as they keep the storylines going, I don't care.
Our next, our question of the week for this week is, I talked about, I was going to mention a little bit later, a bit ago, we had a gut check segment this week, and I thought it was very underwhelming, and I know you agreed, and based on some of the Twitter reactions I read, it was underwhelming for most of the fans out there as well. Do you think that gut check has run its course and they should do away with it altogether? Or do you think maybe they should put more established guys, or go to the original where you had a guy like, let's say, Ryan Howe face one of the guys already on the roster, like they did, I forget who it was that wrestled Doug Williams. Was it York that wrestled Doug Williams? Christian York, yeah.
York wrestled the old X Division champion, I think it was.
Oh, Zima?
Zima Ion.
There you go. But anyway, what do you think? Do you think they should do away with gut check? Do you think they should rework it? Do you like gut check? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on our Facebook, put it on our Twitter, put it down where?
Down there.
Right down in the comments. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
That's the one thing I didn't miss out of everything. Anyway. But back into the show, we had Gunner and James Storm coming out to cut a promo. They were joined in the ring by Robbie E. and Jesse, who let us know that they have a new team name. The Bromans. I like it. I think it adds to the division. It gives another team for guys like Gunner and Storm to work with.
Well, it gets Jesse away from Tara.
She was out there with.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's been such a.
Remember they did the Butterface thing?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Bust your damn luck.
I mean, it is what it is. It was a time filler. With Kaz and Daniels being in the Bound for Glory series, it gives another heel team to be in there. But, was what it was. Next, we have our final match of the night: Samoa Joe versus Mr. Anderson in another Bound for Glory series. Almost gave the surprise away, Gary.
We already did earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, it's all right. What you do? That's what you do.
I blew the pooch.
Yeah, you jumped the shark. Anyways, good match. These two guys,
Shark Boy?
these guys put on great matches.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, I know he's like one of your favorites on this roster. I've always been a fan of Anderson, even back in his WWE days. I think he got a shitty end of the stick when he was in WWE. I think he should have been higher up. I think the company here finally is realizing what he is. I mean, they've already given a world title shot or a world title run before, but it was really short, and they flip-flopped his character so many times, he got himself over.
I think he's in the perfect role right now. I think him being a heel, being part of the Aces and Eights is perfect for him. I like him as kind of a second in command of Bully Ray.
Yeah, that's over Devon.
Sucker.
Sucker's got to know. Testify.
Then after the match, Sting and Angle came down because the main event the Aces and Eights are threatening to join the match, and then the main event Mafia comes and fights them off, goes in the ring, raises Joe's hands. Joe is the third member. Like at Bash on the Beach when they had a third member.
Anyways, like I said before, same guys. Throw some fresh meat in there. Are they going to have Taz be his manager? I don't know, man. I think they should have started with somebody different.
Well, this was a tape show. I think they got to save the surprise factor guys for the non-tape shows. My opinion. You know who they're really missing out of the guys that were in the original one that they should bring back for it?
Who's that?
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
I said it last week on the show, and I think he fits the bill. I mean, you're not going to get Steiner's not going to come back.
No.
Nash ain't coming back. Nash and Booker T are under Legends contracts, and Steiner's got 5 lawsuits against TNA going.
Yeah, and Flair's not coming back.
Yeah. Next we had our main segment of the night. Hulk Hogan comes to the ring, followed by Bully Ray. Bully tells him we're both looking for the same thing. We want to know who Suicide is. And Suicide comes out. Hogan says, if you don't take that mask off, brother, you have to give back the X Division title. Well, he does finally unmask, and it's Austin Aries. Quite a good little heel move he pulled with that. I like that they got Bobby Roode and Austin Aries doing 2 different things, kind of splitting the team apart without them having to turn one face or anything.
Exactly, just kind of like just letting it slowly flutter.
It ran its course. The only reason they were a team, I thought, was to keep both of them away for the main event picture.
That's what it was. But speaking of things that run their course, what about our Hogan count for the evening?
We had 4 Hogans on our Thunderlips / Suburban Commando / Paul Pickett count.
There you go.
But yeah.
A lot of slashes.
Hey. It's
Slash
like Guns
Mr.
N' Roses.
Nanny.
It's a Guns N' Roses.
Can we add a slash Mr. Nanny to that?
Sure, we can do that for you. Santa with Muscles.
There you go.
Thunder in Paradise.
Thunder in Paradise.
Wow, you know the fucking song. Are you the only person to watch that show?
I think so, my friend. I think so.
I did watch one episode.
I thought I watched like 2.
I watched. There was an episode where Sting, Vader, and Flair were all going to be on. And I watched that one. I think Sid even. I don't remember.
The master and the ruler of the world?
Yeah. Scissor Sid?
Master of the power bomb?
Let's go right into our ratings for this week, because this is taking a nosedive here.
You damn right.
Now, we've reworked them a little bit, so you may want to pay a little bit of attention. We go on a 1 to 5 scale, and if you remember, we go by people's names. Now, we've changed that. Now, 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. 1 is a Jesse Goddard, 2 is a Garrett Bischoff, who moved up the scale, 3 is a James Storm, 4 is a Christopher Daniels, 5 is a Kurt Angle. On this show, I'm going to give it a 3 at James Storm. There was some interesting stuff, some not so interesting stuff.
I'm going to give it a Garrett Bischoff. I just really wasn't compelled. This wasn't compelling television.
Well, the only reason I gave mine a 3 was Joe and Anderson and
Are you really compelled? Are you really going to compel me?
the X title match. Joe and Anderson and Magnus and Roode were all good.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's too much Hogan.
That's the problem with mine, and that's why I have to be a little bit harder on it. The gut check really let me down. And I like Samoa Joe, but the main event Mafia thing, it's just I'm really tired.
You don't want the rehash.
I don't want it. I don't want the same guys.
Same bullshit.
That's what it is. He's just a fat piece of shit.
What?
Vader. No, I was watching that match the other day. Kane Vader. I'm just a fat piece of shit. Gotta love the old attitude era. But yeah, I said I'm going with 2.
Right, but basically, that's all I got to say. Anything you need to add?
Disappointed.
My name is George Coles.
Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.